McGee grew up in northwestern Indiana and, like many young men of his day, found himself in the military acting as a Vietnamese translator. He earned 3 distinguished Flying Crosses during his time in Vietnam. But after his notable time in the military, Jim decided to further his education and attend Indiana University.
He was a political science major, and it's interesting, he was one of those individuals that came in and really took advantage of what the College of Arts and Sciences had to offer.
After receiving his bachelor's degree from IU and working several jobs in the business world, Jim was drawn to a career with the Foreign Service.
I found out about the Foreign Service when I was in the military. It was something that I thought I wanted to do, and we took the plunge, joined the Foreign Service in 1981.
Jim's State Department career showed a steady path of advancement with stops in Nigeria, Pakistan, the Netherlands, India, Barbados, Jamaica, and Côte d'Ivoire.
I was selected in 2001 as ambassador to Swaziland, which was my first ambassadorship. King Mswati IV is the King of Swaziland. He and I did not get along extremely well.
Jim had the courage that previous ambassadors did not have in terms of speaking truth to power.
When I arrived in Swaziland, it had the highest adult prevalence of HIV and AIDS in the world. Horrible, horrible conditions.
The people around the king aren't going to tell the king that your subjects are starving. Jim went out in the country, took pictures of what he saw, and took them to the king and said, "Your Majesty, here's what's happening in your country." And I think what the king's response was, "These are not my subjects."
So many people were afflicted with HIV and AIDS, they just were not able to grow crops. They couldn't feed themselves, literally. So we brought food in and provided food for those who couldn't provide for themselves. Specifically, we targeted children.
In 2004, Ambassador McGee was called to his next ambassadorship in Madagascar, where his goal was to ensure a free and fair election.
My final ambassadorship was to Zimbabwe. I think I set a record for the shortest time from being officially credentialed in the country and being called up to the foreign ministry to say, "We're going to kick you out of here." Happened the same day. Because I had overseen a successful election in Madagascar, I was asked to go to Zimbabwe and help prepare for the election there in 2008. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life.
It was clear that there was a fair amount of fraud that was taking place. And he took it upon himself to say, to expose that fraud that was taking place. And a great personal risk.
He's willing as an ambassador to do what most ambassadors wouldn't do, and that is really alert the world community of situations that he thought were wrong.
He had a caravan and he was distributing these cell phones that were allowing people to communicate at the polling stations. And the Mugabe government was aware of this and had a roadblock and stopped his convoy. And he got out and proceeded to explain to this person with a gun that it was in his best interest to move aside. That's an incredible amount of bravery.
In 2008, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice honored Ambassador McGee with the Diplomacy for Freedom Award.
That was, at the time, I think maybe the most impressive award that I had won. That award is given every other year to an ambassador. I was the ambassador chosen that year.
Jim continues to try to enlighten individuals about the fact that we're not just the United States, but we're moving into a global community, a global society, and what happens in Zimbabwe, what happens in Swaziland, what happens in Mozambique may have a direct impact on what happens in your own life.
From the moment I met him, he talked to me about the School of Global and International Studies. Being an ambassador, he has this ability to bring the world to life. He's had personal experiences that our students would greatly benefit by because it's an applied knowledge of the world.
I mentioned that the Democracy for Freedom Award was the highest award that I thought I'd received. This, of course, now takes precedence over even that. We've had so many distinguished alumni graduating from Indiana University, and I can just go down the list and start from politicians to military people to artists. You name them, we have spectacular people graduating from Indiana University. And to be honored with an award such as this from Indiana just means the world to me.